I'm muted. Thank you, Edward. Been talking to the void for like the past 20 minutes. I'm muted. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate that, y'all. Appreciate that. Welcome in, Jenna. Welcome in, Edward. Yeah, guys. So one of the things that I have been going on right now, as you're coming in, please hit that like button, hit that notification bell. One thing that I've been dealing with is I've had strep really technically since Tuesday or Monday, but unfortunately I didn't get antibiotics until Wednesday, and so my throat is still kind of getting better, but it feels like razor blades, and it's miserable. But let's do this. I'm setting up right now on TikTok. Ignore Supreme Court. How are your guys' nights going? Terrible for... Let's do this. That's fine. Yeah, we'll just do... That works. Okay. All right, we're going to try to go live on TikTok Studio and seeing if it's going to crash OBS. So that'll be the fun part. Now, I want you guys to be able to see the chat that is going on. Guys, as you're coming into TikTok Live, please make sure you're hitting that tap the screen as much as you humanly can. All right, guys, as you're coming in, it'll certainly help with the algorithm. So thank you all for that. Yo, Spartacus, what's going on? We're going to be talking about some topics tonight. It may be a little laggy, so I might switch up the camera for you guys. Right now, I'm using my phone for my camera on TikTok Studio, and there's kind of a weird, interesting angle that's going on with that. But guys, as you're coming in, hit that tap button. And if you are MAGA, please request up. It's going to be a good night to debate. I'm hungry, but I'm lazy to cook tonight, so bologna sandwiches and chips, absolutely, man. Yeah, hit that tap button, tap. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's get into the stories and the news as everybody has trickled in now. I appreciate all of y'all's supports. Let's go ahead and jump into the news. And if someone requests up, great. If not, we'll go from there. Okay, so first things first, Trump saying the quiet part out loud. Let me go ahead and switch over to a web source. That'll probably help. TikTok, as you're coming in, hit that tap, please. Trump ended up doing a Board of Peace meeting, and it went about as atrocious as it possibly could. Okay, it was really just terrible all around. And there's a lot of controversy around it that we'll try to get to. God, y'all, talking is so difficult when you have strep. Ooh. All right. So first things first, during this Board of Peace, he brought together a bunch of different members from different regions. And it was really just all terrible. It was different world leaders like Viktor Orban, and you've had some other, I think Qatar was there, and a few other ones. It was a 3-hour-long meeting for the world to see, and it was just really weird. Yo, thank you for that. I appreciate the follow. Thank you, Same Old Fears. I can't see some of these notifications on my screen, so I'm having to work with this a little bit. Okay. Yes, as you're coming in here, please, guys, hit the tap button. Okay. So anyways, let's get to it. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It has been a day. It has been a day. I've been traveling. Anyways, all right. Anyways, so Trump said the quiet part out loud. He said, I thought they would give me a lot of money, maybe some cash, can always use some extra cash. You see, the reality is with Donald Trump, he does not care at all about the office. And this is just a glaring example of that, right? Is where he has sat here and he's shown that he only cares about his bottom dollar. The Trump kids have also shown the same thing. So what's going on, Dobby? We're seeing the same things play out there as well. And it's pretty crazy. We're also seeing next up was when you could see, and those on my live stream can see this, where Donald Trump in this picture of the Board of Peace, and you on YouTube can see this, he ended up like posing with all the people, and half of the front is really just his administration. And he struggled to just get some people onto the Board of Peace. He had a hard time gathering everybody there to begin with. Guys, as you're coming into TikTok, please hit the tap, 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 tap button. Do me a huge solid favor. If you could let me know that the quality is good or bad in terms of the video quality, that'd be really great. I'm not sure. I'm using my phone and I want to make sure it looks good. Otherwise, I'll switch over to my other webcam. Then we also had this. Trump struggling to read the names of members of his board of peace. He struggled through this. He was slurring his words. Again, we're seeing the same things play out as it always has been, where he struggles to really put together a lot of different thoughts at his old age. This leans more into the concern of whether or not he has dementia or not. But let's go on. This one's kind of crazy. So here's the interesting part. I know we're kind of getting to before the Supreme Court ruled Trump's IEEPA tariffs. So keep that in mind. This Board of Peace thing took place a few days ago. It did not take place yesterday. Trump doesn't struggle at all. Okay, bio. He struggles all the time. And in fact, he even has to read off the paper that's in front of him numerous times and reads a teleprompter. And even then, when he goes off script, it's pretty atrocious. So he does end up having a really bad sense of being able to read off there. Okay. So anyways, here he says, His Majesty, the King of Bahrain, he is so rich, he can sit there wherever the hell he wants. He might take a piece of this building, Marco, take 25% of the building for about $6 billion, just a quid pro quo that we all know Trump loves. Trump loves to give corrupt deals. That's just what he does, right? And then we also saw where he said, young, handsome guy, always nice to be young and handsome. Doesn't mean we have to like you. I don't like young, handsome men. Women I like, men I don't have any interest. Trump casually just admitting that he likes young women. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Anyways. Then we had Trump at the Board of Peace meeting out of Iran. He said, we have to make a meaningful deal, otherwise bad things will happen. Once again, showing that MAGA here, and I think the only thing he failed at is not failing. What do you think, cognitive dissonance, that you're saying that the only thing he has done or failed at is not failing? What has he been successful at? Please tell me. Okay, Bobby, you can go somewhere else then if you want to go. You'd play this game. We can certainly do this. Bye. Foreign policy. Tariffs, borders, and taxes. Tariffs, borders, and taxes. So first of all, the tariffs he's failed at because the tariffs have been reversed. You can't tell me the tariffs are doing good if they've been reversed. Borders and tax. Oh, deregulation. Oh, that's right. He did the deregulation thing for what? To save money that he's now ending up spending tons of money on other pet projects, right? We could talk about the Kennedy Center, where he is renovating the Kennedy Center. We could talk about where Donald Trump is taking needless vacations down to Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on and on, right? So on to the next thing here that we have. You didn't listen or read? What do you mean I didn't listen or read? HHS, border, Health and Human Services. How has he done anything good in Health and Human Services? What has he done specifically for Health and Human Services? I don't know any. The border, let's be very clear. With the border, I will sit here and say this. I think with the border, if we look at what has happened, I think that there is if we're just talking about the border, I would probably agree that he has probably done well in that respect. But if we're only talking about the border, and I mean the physical border, if we're talking about immigration as a whole, it's been atrocious. I'm not going to give him that slight credit and say that it overrides all of the other atrocious things that he has done over this past administration. Stop anyone, sorry. Announce the border crossings this year. You're horrible. Why are you commenting then if you think I'm horrible, Mikey? You're more welcome to go somewhere else if you think I'm so horrible. So there's that. Anyways, I want Alberto in your house. I can provide it to you. Wow, Mikey. Tell me how you really feel. Bye. So let's keep going here. Oops. Talked about that one already. Kazakhstan. So keep in mind, one of the problems he has had over this past several administrations or past several with the Board of Peace, going back to the Board of Peace, is that he has brought in people who are really no-name people, right? Or even they're pretty atrocious leaders. So that's a big thing. We can see with the Kazakhstan leaders, they'd like to propose to establish a special President Trump award. And you see, we know that Donald Trump just loves his participation trophies, right? I mean, that's exactly it. You didn't listen or read. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I already passed that on. Okay. Guys, as you're coming in, hit that tap button, please. It does me a huge service. YouTube, what's going on, guys? I've been ignoring you guys a little bit. Biden took needless vacations to the beach all the time. No, Biden ended up taking a vacation to the beach that I can recall. And even then, if you look at how much Donald Trump has done in vacations, you can certainly sit here and see where Donald Trump is on track to take more. Every weekend, he's at Mar-a-Lago at this point. It's not like every now and then or there another. And keep in mind, how much is that costing the taxpayers? By the way, Donald Trump has has taken in since being president nearly like what, $6 billion or something like that, $10 billion. He's such an orange baby. Exactly, Carolina. Welcome in, Carolina, by the way. Oops. That's hopefully a little bit better there. Where is it here? Okay, that's gone. Grant Stern, and you can see here where Donald Trump was falling asleep at the Board of Peace. He was so bored of the Board of Peace that he was falling asleep. The MAGA sundown is upon us. Everyone, the signs are everywhere. Exactly, Ed. Guys, if I sound like I'm a little bit off, that is because I am right now. It takes me a little bit to get going. Furthermore, my throat is destroyed. Still supporting him. What's up, Hortensia? Yo, Hortensia, what's going on? What's going on, Hortensia? Next thing we got here. So Ducey asked Trump, because Barack Obama went on to a podcast where he ended up saying that there were UFOs. And I have to be very careful with how I speak on TikTok about this. But he went on, I think the Supreme Court. Yeah, we'll get into that, Hortensia. I'm not quite there just yet, but we'll talk about the Supreme Court here. Oh, you thought the Supreme Court made the oh, interesting. Okay, I just got that. I just caught that. W, right? Trump doesn't take a paycheck. He donates them to charities. Congratulations. He donates the measly $400,000 that he gets of his salary over to charities that he also probably takes on a tax write-off. Doesn't excuse the fact that he has made billions of dollars while in office. It doesn't excuse all the MAGA merch that he sells, all of his trademark rights, all of the Trump properties that he has had. Doesn't mean that he has not benefited in some financial way. It's hysterical. It's also the same party that will sit there and say that the left is doing insider stock trading. So yeah, miss me with that. It's hysterical. Anyways, so Ducey asked, Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth? And Trump said, well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. And Ducey said, so aliens are real. Trump said, I don't know if they're real or not. He made a big mistake. Let's be very clear here. What Donald Trump is saying in this is that he's essentially saying that Obama committed a crime, which is insane, right? It's just absolutely insane. But he's also now said that he's going to release these files, and we know he's not going to. And you can see it here. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I'll be directing the Secretary of War and other related departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and unidentified. Let's be very clear here, okay? If Trump were to do this, he'd be releasing DOD files, okay? It's pretty crazy. What's up, Robert? He's a grifter for sure. Exactly. Dude, you're wrong. Where am I wrong on anything I've said, Cheryl? Please let me know. LO, Trump donated his first paycheck to the White House Association. Congratulations, Doe. I don't know if you're just like defending this or not, but if you are, congratulations. If you're not, exactly, it's hysterical. The possibility is interesting, LO, but it could be a joke. They already did this years ago. Well, the thing about it, Hortensia, is that the whole thing behind unidentified flying objects is the idea that the military is conducting tests with certain aerial vehicles. So for them to go in and release this would be hysterical. right? Because they'd be necessarily releasing military like technology. Not if it is a charity. It isn't a charity. They never. Oh, okay. I got you. Dope. Gotcha. Hey guys, as you're coming in, please hit the tap button. We're at 19 people in this room. Right now we're at 1,500 hearts. Let's get up to like 10K hearts. Let's do that, okay? Tonight I'll be able to stream a lot longer. Kids aren't home. Wife and kids are at her mom's. So I have unlimited rain tonight, but we're not going to make it too long. Let's keep going. We also had Trump going to a steel, I guess a steel mill or whatever it is, at this, or steel manufacturer, I think in Pennsylvania. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's probably interdimensional beings. Now listen, I don't get into that whole debate, Hortensia. It is just something that's not my thing. I think it's silly. I think a majority of it is just military testing planes that we've never seen. I always tell people, like, look at the B-2, right? If you had the B-2 boom boomer, and for YouTube, when you're wondering why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it, is because, again, I'm on TikTok. If you look at the B-2 boom boomer, you would see that it like that kind of a vehicle back in the 60s or 70s or whenever it was developed would have been absolutely like just totally alien, no pun intended, to people in that era, right? Because it looks so futuristic. Thought so. So no proof. What are you saying? No proof in what you say. Let's see proof. Here, I'll show you proof, Cheryl. Cheryl wants all the proof. Let's go ahead. Let me switch this over here. She wants to see the proof that Donald Trump has raked in billions of dollars. And I can just go to his simple public filings if you like. It's real simple. Give me 1 second. Let me clean this up here, and so I can show you all that I have here. Hold on. All right, let's pull this up for Cheryl because Cheryl wants to see the proof. Donald Trump earnings second term. What's up, Jim? What's up, Jim? All right. Go to this. Take it or leave it. Here is the Citizens for Responsible, it's crew, basically. Let me go ahead and pull this up over here on Solo. Donald Trump is set to see enormous unprecedented income from his overseas real estate developments in his second term, estimated to exceed $400 million and likely over $430 million, according to a crew analysis. Oh, and don't forget. 1 second, guys. Try and take my, sorry about that. Try and take out the holes. Do you believe the crap you say? Yeah, I do, Clay Clark. I don't know why that's a thing. He makes money from his money and property while he sleeps. Yeah, I don't know. I got somebody in YouTube chat right now, and Hortensia was like, no, show me the receipts. I'm like, it's right here. You can see all the money he's made. He's also suing the DOJ for $10 billion. So I don't know why you want to keep looking at this evidence. My dog wants inside. Give me a second. Back. There we go. Robert, my dad worked at the China Lake Naval Base in Southern California. He saw several different. Yeah, exactly, Robert. That's what I'm saying. Like anybody that talks about unidentified planes, like Donald Trump saying, he wants to release these plans. It's like you're gonna just reveal like military aircraft. That's all it's gonna be there. Biotech said Trump is helping our economy. I'll take time to be patient. Last administration was so corrupt. Donald Trump is helping our economy. Okay. That's not what a lot of people feel like. Now, I will say that Donald Trump, Supreme Court really did save a lot of Americans right now with these tariffs. That's for sure. Did you see DEI win against Trump DOE? No, I didn't see what you're talking about, Dobby. Anyways, all right, let's get on to the next thing here. So back to this. We have the Trump business owner where the business owner said it's been a game changer. He was so proud of all these tariffs. And like I said, little did we know that these tariffs would end up getting revoked. Trump also told a crowd that the president of Coosa Steel said, with the tariffs, if I didn't have all these cameras running, I would grab you and start kissing you violently. It's crazy. Are you aware of the sewage leaking in the Potomac River, large sewage spill? Yeah, I've seen that, Hortensia. From what I've understood and read into it, DC has some responsibility over it. So they keep making this about the mayor or governor Westmore, I think is his name. But it's not really exactly what is to blame. It's a multi-agency thing, and from my understanding, where this is particularly taking place, DC is responsible. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm probably going to be all over the place today, but that's okay. Independent voter for Trump. What's up, Lee? I'm trying to make sure I handle these multi-guest requests correctly in case this happens. Let me do this. Lee requested to join up. Top Democrat, everyone but Americans nowadays. Okay, Lee, let me try out this multi-guest to see how this works. This is going to be new to me. So I'm on TikTok Studio, so it's a little weird. Hey, Lee, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. Hey, so
How are
you
you?
voted for doing good. How about yourself?
All right.
Okay. Who did you vote for?
I voted for Trump. I'm an independent, and I am not loyal to either party though.
Okay. What made you vote for Trump? What are you liking so far about Trump?
Because the country was going to hell.
Oh, okay. What was it about
I
that?
like safer borders. Crime in our big cities and even little towns under Biden was completely out of control. Other countries cheating us on trade. Democrats and Republicans have let other countries cheat us big time on trade for decades. Both parties are guilty of that.
So where are you from?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
What does that matter?
It sounds like you got
Yeah,
a
I'm an
really
American. That's all that matters.
sounds like you got a bad accent, bro. What are you talking about? Why does it matter? Come on, give me a real accent.
I'm from the United States of America.
What state?
What does that matter, sir?
Your voice sounds.
Am I making fun of your forehead and your? Well, look at your forehead. It's
Bye. That was. I mean, listen. He gave a hell of an antebellum accent. I haven't heard anybody sound like that in a while. Needs to try a little bit better. All right. Oh God, here we go. We're getting them in now, y'all. Let's see who's up. Let's view. Oh, Hortensia. Okay, what's going on, Hortensia? Let me go and bring you up here. I agree, Spartacus needs to work on his trolling. What's going on, Hortensia? Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I sure can. How you been? I haven't talked to you in a minute.
Yeah, I'm usually in bed. But I mean, I'm technically in bed, but I'm usually
I
asleep
gotcha.
by now. So, anyways, yeah, no. So I've been kind of following the sewage spill in the Potomac, and I don't even care whose fault it is, but it's like one of the largest environmental disasters that we've ever had, and no one's talking about it. Like,
Yeah,
I can't.
I haven't been keeping up to date with it, and I mean, like I've said, I've seen a lot of what's going on with it being like Trump has mentioned it, but nobody's ever really like. It doesn't seem like there's a real solution in place. But I've not. I don't know much about what's going on. Like, can you enlighten me? Tell me a little bit more background about what's going on and see what's going on there. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, they've got raw sewage, fecal matter, staph, MRSA, and multiple things going into the Potomac. And at the rate that it's going into, it's like forcibly pushing into it. It's not like a small like seepage, like and they're saying that it's going to take 6 weeks before they can even access it to like stop it. And it's been happening for weeks and weeks and weeks. And like, if you think about it, like, I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of poo that that it's just hard to fathom. There's also animals, there's, fishing. Like nobody normally swims in the Potomac already, but like now it's getting to the point where like it's probably going to like comparatively be like worse than the Hudson.
Oh man, that's not good.
Yeah, and it's really bad because if you think about like the National Mall, like I don't know if you've been to DC,
Not
Vince,
yet. I
but
want
like
to.
it's beautiful. Like if you're like at certain monuments, like you can look over and you can see the Potomac. If you're like in Old Town Alexandria, you're right by the water. And like the smell is starting to like I've got a sibling and they actually took my nephew out to eat and they were like, yeah, we were gonna walk around, but it's stinky.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's what
so
I've heard. I've heard that like because it's like raw sewage, it smells. And I'll tell you this: I've been near like a paper mill, for example, and if anybody's ever been near a paper mill, it is bad. I can only
stinky.
imagine what that smells like. I think the big thing about that though is it's become more political than it maybe should be because it's an environmental disaster, and I do feel that Trump has really been pushing at West Moore with Maryland about it. But that particular where this like I guess it's an interchange from my understanding. I don't know what that means, but it's some kind of I guess where maybe it changes. I don't know. And they're
Well,
blaming. Yeah, they're saying, well, it's Westmore, but like I looked it up and it's DC that's responsible for it, and so I don't think that the back and forth does any good for those actual people who are suffering through it.
I think he's trying to put pressure on the situation, and I don't necessarily think that I'll put it this way, the fact that we have an active president that has to start talking about an issue for people to start paying attention is the problem. So, like, it should never have gotten to the fact the president is doing this because it's been happening for weeks now. Um, and I mean, whoever in my, like, they say like poo flows downstream, like, whose poo is it should be accountable. So, if it's poo from people in DC, yeah, if it's poo from people in Maryland, yeah. And the problem is it's also going down to Virginia now. So, and I'm not sure what necessarily like DC has available to fix it, but you would think that an entire state like the state of Maryland would have resources to fix it, especially if it is something that is at a junction. But I'm not trying to point blame politically. I'm just saying like I don't even care Republican,
It needs to get
Democrat,
done, right?
Independent, it just needs to get done. Like, why are we dragging this out? Like, why?
Yeah, I'm curious. I can't speak real much on it because I just don't know. But I will keep an eye out on it. Real quick, I want to address Nabra in chat. Listen, sir. Okay, you say you got a stronger beard. I probably would agree with you. Okay. The problem is I have not gotten a haircut in like almost a month. So my beard looks real scraggly. There's no straight edges. Okay. I'm looking like a bum right now. All right. So you probably do have a stronger beard, but just be warned. Okay. I'm about to get a haircut. It's gonna look much better. The failure is the left. But anyways, Hortensia, like, what do you on like that kind of thing about Trump and things of that nature? Or I haven't talked to you in a while. What is your current headspace still on Trump? You still a big supporter of Trump and all the things that are going on? I know you said that you support. You said that you supported the Supreme Court decision, which I thought was really interesting. Tell me more?
um, I think that they made the right call because he still has the ability to levy tariffs, just not under IEPA. And I think that that was the thing that stood out to me is that they were saying like, hey, if we're going to do it under IEPA, then that's not the route to go to for tariffs. Do it under another section. And that makes sense because it's basically limiting the power of IEPA for anybody else that goes after Trump, especially if we end up getting somebody who's like a hardcore socialist or commie, like in the White House, like a Mandami or an AOC. Um, so I think in foresight, like, I think it makes sense, like Trump is pushing the bounds and he has to go around it. It doesn't say that he can't do tariffs, but it just says he can't do tariffs under the law for IEPA, which is funny because I know you and Talk and I had a conversation about how IEPA is one of those things where, like, I know I was saying you were like, we don't like it. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not illegal yet. Remember
Yeah,
that? And it
vaguely.
wasn't
I'm
like
sure it was
a,
vaguely, but yeah,
yeah, like, so now it is illegal. So, I mean, like,
yeah.
that actually, I guess, helps with like that weird ambiguity. But I do think they made the right call. Like, I don't think that that was a win for Trump, but I do think that it was a win for our legal system in the country, and like long, long term win. I would put it
Yeah.
that
So
way.
I mean, I think the I don't know if I I'd consider it a win, but also a loss in a way, and let me explain why. Because unfortunately, if Trump were to refund it, I'd say it's a win through and through. But unfortunately, my concern right now is that Trump is already saying that and what I predict is going to happen is he's going to slow roll the release of the refunds. What's going to end up happening is these things are going to get brought up in lawsuits and things of that nature, and the refunds that I believe are rightfully owed, at the very least, at the very minimum, to the business owners. That's going to take probably a
It's going to be
couple of years.
delayed.
Yeah, it's going to be delayed. Not to mention, there's a serious question, in my opinion, of there has been studies that have suggested that some costs to a certain percentage or another have been passed down to the consumer. Now, to me, the way I feel about it is that I don't think it is right to have the money go only straight to businesses and then consumers don't see any return on that, right? Because what's going to end up happening is businesses will keep their prices at the prices that they're at, and then they're going to eat up. They're going to take that win because inevitably they're going to get a refund. The question is when, right? And they're not going to pass those wins, those lawsuit wins, onto the consumer. They're not going to put it in savings. They're not going to pass it down via savings or anything like that. And that's kind of where my concern is with this: is that it would have been a win if we would have seen the refunds, but we're not going to see the refunds to businesses, and we're certainly not going to see them passed down to consumers, and that's what's concerning to me. And I don't think that and I'll land my plane here. I think these other two issues we're seeing is with these new tariffs he's implementing, they're temporary. The section, I don't remember the exact number, but it's
232.
it's 232. That one is only good for like 150 days. And then Congress has to vote on it, which puts Republicans in a very precarious position because now they have to vote on whether or not to continue to extend these tariffs, you know?
Trust me, I could have a conversation about Congress. I do have a theory. So first off, I'll address what you said because like I think that's a very well-rounded way to put your issue with the refunds. I think it's too early to call on what's going to happen, so I think we'll have to keep an eye out and see how that goes. But I think that the businesses should hopefully, with their profit margin, take some profit margin and also alleviate some cost. I think that that would be the better way to do that, and I really hope that that's the route that they take, which also does pass down to the consumers. The other thing that I'll say is I currently have a beef with pretty much everybody in Congress, but especially the fact that I think the conservatives, the Republicans who control Congress, who are complacent, want to lose the midterms because now they can say, well, we're not doing anything just because we're not doing anything right now. But they can say, we're not doing anything because the Democrats, to try and get their, base rallied up. Because at this point, they're taking their sweet time. They're not really taking cues from Trump. Trump is fast acting and very like targeted with his goal and with what he believes the American people want. And Congress has basically said, no, nah, we're only going to do what we have to do. We're not going to lift a finger because we don't want anything to change. So I think they're just trying to wait him out for the next 3 years versus actually trying to do something that would impact their consumers. Well, I don't want to say consumers, but their constituents.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the biggest issue here, and I think they want the Democrats to take more seats back so that as opposed to us being like, well, why aren't the Republicans doing more? They're doing the bare minimum. They'll have the excuse of saying, well, we're not in power anymore. So I really am going to be interested to see how that pans out. But it's like almost like they want to lose the midterms so that they have an excuse for being ineffective. And
Yeah.
I'm a conservative. I would say like I'm a moderate libertarian, to be honest. And I do like Trump because like at the end of the day, Vince, if I look at the things that are important to me, and I had to look at the choice between Harris and Trump, Trump still encompasses way more of the things that I want for this country than Harris could. So I'm still a Trump supporter.
Well, I'll tell
I
you
just
this.
go
As
from
much
there.
as I want, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, I was just gonna say I just go from there based on the fact that if I can't get behind the other one and I'm behind Trump right now, like I do want to see as much change in the areas that are important to me. And I think he's doing a better job than she ever could have because the things I want, she was not, you know,
Yeah.
effective on.
Yeah. So luckily, for you at least, you don't have to worry about Kamala Harris because I don't think Kamala Harris. I mean, she may run in 28. Realistically, I think we're going to see more of a Gavin Newsom ticket. But it's neither here nor there, and I think we're at the point now where discussing whether Kamala Harris or Trump would have been a better candidate. I think it is valid to say, in my opinion, I don't think we would be in a lot of the stuff we're in, but it's neither here nor there. I can't go back and change what happened in 24. I voted for Harris. You voted for Trump. I will say, I mean, I get why you voted for Trump. Um, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how 28 plays out. Um, but I just think that overall, Trump has been a really just an overall net negative. In a lot of ways, has been a lame duck president too in these last couple of years. He had the one big beautiful bill, but that's about where it has stopped. And this goes back to what I was saying about earlier. Somebody was asking about the border. It's like you can have that one good thing, right? But then you have the 10 other bad things that follow with it, right? Whether it be the Alex Peretti situation or Renee Good, and there's a couple of others that never really get mentioned. And to be completely honest, I don't remember their names, but I know that there's a couple of others as well included in that. Um, so I think that when we look at what Trump has done, the number one thing people are doing in this midterm is going to be the economy. That's their number one issue. And then followed by that is usually immigration, which mirrors what we saw in 24. And the fact that Donald Trump's ratings are going down, his approval rating is atrocious. It's safe to say that if Democrats take power in the Senate and the House, I am fairly certain that we will see somebody in some aspect or another, if not multiple people, be impeached. And I do think that under normal circumstances, I would not be okay with it. But given the circumstances, what we've seen with Kristi Noem, and I don't know if you've kept up with the juicy drama between her and Corey Lewandowski and the things that have been going on there. But I think that drama we're seeing where some of Pete Hegseth's drama, I think there's enough there to say, okay, hey, we've got to undo the mess up that happened in the previous Congress. I think all I'm trying to
I
say is I
mean,
think the midterms are going to be. I think I'm getting more and more in favor of a blue wave every day, but that's just my opinion on that. Obviously, I'm just a political commentator.
I think that the push and the messaging is blue wave, but I think a lot of people are going to look to two different states to determine whether or not they want to vote blue. That, and this is coming from like people that are typically voting red. They're going to look to New York and they're going to look to Virginia. Those two states had a blue wave and they are not faring very well right now. The problem isn't an individual or just one or two politicians. The problem is the platform of the Democrat Party is so polarized, further left than most people want it to be. So when we look at the policies and the things that they are pushing, it doesn't align with most people. It aligns with just a small fraction of their party. So yes, the only way that they can actually garner support is to villainize everything that the right is doing and try and make everything so hyper focused and so evil and so bad. That's why if you look at like the way that they describe like conservatives, um, it's always like oh, you must be like a right wing extremist, or you must be a Yahtzee, or you're supporting up the Gestapo, and all of these things that they have to do. Then it's like, as opposed to just being like, oh well, I disagree with you, and therefore we can have a conversation. It's just like this hatred, this vitriol. And it does come from both sides, but right now the push is to make the right so evil and so demented in their perspective that you can't get behind it in order to be able to win. But like if you look at what the blue wave is doing, like Mandami just said, he's raising the property taxes on everybody, like that exactly what people thought he wasn't going to do. They did not think he was going to come in and affect anybody like in the middle or lower class. But yet, property taxes affect all New Yorkers. And it's not going to really impact the wealthy people. It will impact the people who aren't wealthy, though. We have to look to what the blue states and what the blue areas and the blue waves are doing. And I just don't know if people are going to choose that.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think that New York is going to go red. I don't see that. I think Texas is going to go blue before Texas is going to go blue before New York goes red. I just don't see there's any chance in hell of New York going red anytime soon. I think if you look at Texas right now, we have Talarico and Jasmine Crockett, which I had a story lined up for that because that's getting messy in its own regard, and I think it needs to stop. I think it just is an appeal to anybody in Texas. You need to be screaming at your representatives, say, please stop this nonsense. There's even I saw a political ad today where it was from Jasmine Crockett, where she ended up comparing Talarico to Trump. Listen, I love Jasmine Crockett's tenacity. I've said I've supported Jasmine Crockett. Unfortunately, I don't think she's going to get the ticket, but I'm going to vote for whoever's a Democrat here in Texas. Nonetheless, to look at this one here with New York and the property taxes, I'm going through it right now. It does say, and this is something I've been trying to preach to people, is that when you talk about Mamdani, right, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding because of Trump that people have given into where they forget what's all involved with local politics. And I just read this really quickly and it reminded me he's got to go through city council. There's a city council that has to approve it. And even for some of the bigger changes, it would require the state's approval, right? Now, you could say, well, they're in line with him. Well, that's a whole different thing. But it's not that Mamdani can just snap his fingers and things get done. It has to be done methodically. And I don't know with this particular property tax and it does say, has said the city is facing a dire budget crisis. The mayor said there are essentially two options to solve the problem. One is to raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers, but there have been no signs Governor Kathy Hochul is willing to budge on our opposition to the plan. The other option Mamdani has posited would be to raise property taxes in New York City by 9.5%.
For everybody.
Yeah, I think it doesn't seem like there's an asterisk there, right? But I think it's two sides.
Yeah, which is not what the people voted for because he ran on basically like eat the rich, tax the rich.
Well, it sounds like
and
he's
now
saying.
we see that. And we also know that they've also raised costs on like public transportation too. And it's just, I don't think people are happy. I know a lot of people are trying to get rid of their properties in New York and leave because they're not okay with what's happening. And I mean, a 10% increase in property tax is crazy if you think about the values of their property there and what they're already paying. So it's just we have to look at the examples of what's happening. You can also, like I said, look at Virginia. Virginia's tantamount to the example of what's going to happen to the nation if Democrats take control because they currently have like the House, the Senate, and the governor's office in like the Virginia Commonwealth, and they are pushing so much radical, like, granted, like I know your perspective a little bit on economics, but if you run on affordability and then you propose 50 brand new taxes on new things that were never taxed before, that's not necessarily going to be seen as affordable. So not only are you increasing some of the taxes in the state, but now you're adding additional taxes on gym memberships, on deliveries, on dog walking, on hotels, multiple things that she's proposed that are just like, okay, so like I get it, like you guys want money, but Virginia has a balanced budget amendment that they've had since the 80s, so they always have a balanced budget, but they've actually been running a surplus prior to her getting in office. So you're telling me that if you walked into a governor's mansion in a state that has a surplus and you touched almost nothing, you're telling me you wouldn't continue to have a surplus? But as opposed to that, like I said, 50 new taxes and you ran on affordability. And now it's like, okay, we're we're gonna have to come up with these. I don't know if you've seen electric bills, but like I've got a property there. Like I don't live in the state,
Mm.
but I'm from the state and I have like a property there. And like, how do you tell a tenant that in 1 month their electric bill goes up by $40 for no reason at all? Nothing's changed,
Yeah,
you know?
these.
And they're in like a 1,000 square foot like condo, you know? So and this is not just like that was just my tenant's experience. But like I also know people who have houses and their houses are, $400, $600 a month. So it's just like people are not feeling like that's affordable and they're pushing back on the narrative that the blue team can deliver this.
Well, I think electricity prices are going up across the board, anyways, and I think there's a whole host of reasons. I'm not an electricity expert by any means. From my understanding, some of it has to do with some of these AI data centers. In this case, with New York specifically, it seems to have been a rising problem. I don't know if this goes back to 25 or 24 even, but again, I don't know with it being, you know, I don't know where I've seen that Mamdani is particularly raising taxes on electricity. I think it might be a correlative thing, and I think it also depends on what he's going to do from the expense side as well, right? There's two prongs to trying to decrease the budget. You can either increase revenue or you can decrease expenses. It sounds like Mamdani has the right idea in mind, which is what he ran on, which is that he's trying to tax the wealthiest people, right? And I think that's kind of what we have to look at as well is that I think he's still beholden that. I mean, I don't know too much about the Virginia, you know, budget surplus or nothing about that. Sounds like you know more about it than I do. But yeah, I don't know. I think Mamdani's doing fine. To say that that's what the mainstream Democratic Party is running on, um, I don't know if I would totally agree with you on that. Again, a great example of
Well,
that
no,
is if
they're running on affordability, Vince. That's,
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
they're
we
running on
can we can
affordability. That's
agree
fair.
that they're
That's fair.
running
Yeah,
on affordability. And so
yeah.
that's the whole point that I'm making is that they are running on affordability. That's what they're trying to knock Donald Trump on with tariffs and everything like that. But now we look to New York, like I said, it's like a 9.5% increase on property taxes for all owners across the board, not affordability. And then I'm talking about 50 additional taxes, as well as other things that they're doing in Virginia, not affordability. She actually, I'm trying to think of the acronym. If you're in front of your computer, you can actually put
Yeah,
like
look it up.
new, yeah, it's like a new environmental guideline for like heating and air in Virginia that she's pushing.
I
I
think and
believe
that's one thing that's
California
difficult.
does it.
Sometimes when we're talking, we're going between Virginia and New York too. So it's like trying to navigate both of those is kind of
I pay
difficult.
property taxes in Virginia because I own that property. So
Oh,
that's
I
why I
got you.
pay attention there,
How
even
many
though I don't
people
live there
in New
anymore.
York own their? So I think that's another question too, though. How many people in New York actually own their homes? In
To
New
be
York
honest, a
City,
lot of them do. Generationally, a lot of them do. And it's not just the
really.
wealthiest people that own in New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it says it's New York has one of the lowest home ownership rates in the United States, with roughly 51. This is just a quick AI overview because it's not important. I mean, it's important, but it's not like, you know, not the end of it. With roughly 51 to 54% of households owning their homes as of 2024 to 2026. The national average is 65%. So, I mean,
51 to
that's still pretty high.
54%. I mean, that's really high if you think about the property values.
Yeah. So,
And then if we look at like the upper, I would say the proportion of like income earners in that state, I would say like, if he's pushing a tax, I believe it's like what, if you make over like 100 or 130K, there's an additional tax on you now. But that's like standard, like basic living, like that's like decent job living in New York because
yeah.
the cost of living and so like that's to me, I'm like, that's not really affordability either. So like I said, it's going to be one of those things where you have to look at it. So if you're running on affordability, can I look to examples where it's affordable in a blue state or a blue city to live and what your policies are? Because right now, like, Just you're not going to win on that. They're going to have to change their messaging.
But this
And
is I mean, this is just New York though, right? Like that's the thing I'm trying to say is like you can say like the
it's not just New
Democrats.
York though. It's not though. That's the thing.
You're saying
Like I said,
okay, you said New
Virginia.
York and Virginia,
Uh,
but those are
you can look in, but the thing is, you can look at other states too, like California. Like California is not affordable.
well, California's not
Like
affordable,
Washington
but
State,
so
Minnesota.
the problem with this and saying like it's not affordable, you're correct. But I also think that it's a little bit disingenuous to say that there aren't proposals put forward to be more affordable. For example, when he's saying affordable, Mamdani's talked about obviously the one thing that got everybody in a tizzy was the free grocery store or whatever like that, right? I'm looking it up right now because I'm not a Mamdani expert by any means. So trying to debate Mamdani is atrocious. I'm looking it up right now, what Mamdani has proposed for New Yorkers, I guess is a better way of putting it, so I can see. Because right now it's just a proposal, and he wants to try to
Yeah.
do it with the wealthiest, and I think that's the probably better route here.
Well, I
Let's
think
yeah.
that we can look that up if you want to. But I mean, like, I think if he wanted to provide free grocery stores, that'd be one thing. But if he wants to seize them, and like he's mentioned, like there's a video of him saying that he wants to seize the means of production, like I just, if that's what they want, I think that there's a lot of people holding Mandami back from doing a lot of things that he wants to do. Um, there
Well,
are
what's holding him
videos, you
back
can
is
look
that
it up.
again, there's other Democrats in the state of New York that are not following in line with what he has. That's what I'm saying
Yeah,
is like the mainstream Democrats are mostly liberal. And you can even
that's
ask,
what I was saying.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
no, that's what I'm saying. I agree. You're agreeing with me now because I'm saying that the party is now pushing Mandami and Virginia, and they're pushing the radical
I don't
policies
think the
as
party.
opposed
I
to
don't. I think it
acknowledging that
came.
most of the people are liberal, but they don't want full-blown socialism. But that's the thing. They've got the green light to do it, and they're doing it now. Like they're also going after the Second Amendment. I think you can't remember.
Who's
Do
going
you
up to
like
the
the
Second
Second
Amendment?
Amendment?
For sure. You're talking about the Republicans or the Democrats? Because the Republicans have been going after the Second Amendment very much lately.
So if you actually look at the policies that the Democrats are pushing in Virginia, for the Second Amendment. Huge changes, huge policies. So,
What are
yeah.
they pushing in Virginia for the Second Amendment?
Um, so there's like, well, talk about taxes. There's like an 11% firearm tax now that's been added on top of everything. So
so
increase to that.
wait, do you think
They
wait
tried to
real quick?
completely
I'm gonna
ban suppressors.
so let's take this one at a time. So the increase. Let me get this right. The increase of a tax on the firearm would be bad in what way? And there's a reason I'm asking this, and it'll follow. Just give me a minute. You're saying it's bad, but why?
Okay, so in Virginia, most of the state is rural.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that, in order to make their families, well, in order for their families to not starve, they have to actually go out and hunt food to put on the table. So
Okay.
we're
So where does the
acknowledging
tax
that people
fall in it?
still, so I'm just saying that, like, if you excessively tax something that some people use, firearms, in order to be able to survive, I just think that it's just, I'm not a big fan of that.
So
If
you, to be clear, you,
if it wasn't, it wasn't something that a lot of people, because the thing is there's a lot of like in like the coal country Virginia and like the Shenandoah region, there's a lot of really impoverished families, and there's not a lot of job opportunities necessarily in those areas because it's like so rural. There's a lot of people that hunt to survive and they hunt to feed their families. And I'm just saying, like, if you have to pay an 11% tax on your firearms that you're buying to go feed your family, it's just like it's burdensome at a certain point. And then the firearm, it was they tried to ban suppressors, and then they actually took it to court, and the court said that no, because it disproportionately affects poor people because suppressors provide necessary hearing protection and they would be affecting their hearing. So they went a weird about way to do it. But
So
do you see where they went with
no,
that?
so hold on. So wait, I'm gonna tell you now. I don't know how you feel about the SAVE Act, but you just described to a T exactly all of the same criticisms of the SAVE Act, right? Because the one biggest argument is that it disproportionately affects poor people who can't afford to get certain IDs. And the idea that there is a tax, a poll tax onto these particular, they look at this as a poll tax on these IDs, right? So like you're, I don't know if you're aware of it, but you're kind of in a way making the same arguments that are made for the SAVE Act. So do you agree with the SAVE Act in the sense that like, or do you agree with the opposition to the SAVE Act in the sense that,
Can I clarify something though? Because in the
yeah,
sense
good.
that like your state documents that you need for identification are separate from federal documents, as well as the fact that it's for federal elections and not state elections. So if we're being accurate, federal government wants you to provide proof of citizenship via birth certificate, via social security card, and then they want you
Mm-hmm.
to show a picture ID when you arrive. But the difference is that all 50 states have different rules, different costs. Some are free, some aren't
Different
free.
costs. Some aren't
So,
free. So what about the
so
states that
hold
are
on,
not free?
hold on. So what I would like to see them do is to make an accommodation for people if they are not able to provide funding to be able to get an ID. The hard part is um, we also have to accept that if the federal government wants proof of citizenship for voting, how are you surviving in 2026 with no form of proof of citizenship? Because the first thing that you do when you show up to a job, if you get hired, to get your tax information done, what do you have to provide? Two different forms of identification. So if you are an adult and you are working, you should have had to provide two forms of identification to be able to get your tax documentation at work, correct?
So
I mean that's no brainer,
yes,
correct? We
yes,
can
yeah.
agree on
But
that.
but but let's be very
So
clear here.
so if
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
are Yeah, so if you are above the age of 18 and you're working, you at least have two documents to be able to work. And then we can look out and stretch further, which is saying, okay, so who is going to be affected? Because if you're also married, you should have a marriage certificate. Um, at what point in time do we just say some people aren't responsible and they may be affected? It's not a poverty issue, it's a
So
responsibility issue.
but let's be very clear
Because
here.
it's
What you're
really
saying
it's
is that some people are not responsible and thus they should not be able to vote. That's not like
some people are not
I can
responsible
say the same thing
enough to
about the
be.
Second Amendment. Well, they can't afford the
I
tax.
mean, do you
Sorry.
want, okay, but do you want people that literally cannot, if we're not talking about funding, if you want people that cannot keep up with themselves and their own accountability to be able to vote, then maybe we can have like a nonprofit or something that works with them. But that's the whole point. Like most people, like we're making the SAVE Act for the bulk majority of the population. And I'm not saying that, I don't want people to vote, but the thing is like we need to be responsible adults. Why are we making or not making good policy based on the fact that some people cannot obtain or refuse to keep track of their stuff? I don't understand that. That's the part. So when we're talking about firearms that people need to put food on the table, like you can say the same thing and I'll hear
Yeah.
you. I may disagree, but when we're talking about having like paperwork that you're given initially, and that you need to, like I said, if you even want to work a job, you have to have two forms of ID. And if you want to drive somewhere, you have to have a driver's license. And if you don't want to drive, but you want to have an ID to be able to go to the store and buy drinks or buy something to smoke or anything like that,
By the way, the
you have to
Republicans
have
always
some
talking
kind of
about
ID.
drinking is hilarious to me. I'm like, these Republicans talking about drinking probably have a serious problem. Not you. I'm just saying, like, I've seen this, the Republican talking point about you got to, and not, I'm saying this isn't like all the Congress members that have done like interviews lately, like, you need an idea to drink. I'm like, well, y'all keep mentioning beer. I'm really concerned about y'all's habits. But no,
I
like, I
mean,
think.
I
What?
don't drink, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it's not even that. It's just, let me think about it. I've got one, two, five different forms of ID that I can show, like five different things that would be acceptable if I needed to. And, like, to me, I
I
just
mean,
think there's a
it,
level of accountability as adults that we have to say, like, at
but
what point in time, you all get a social security card from the government, you all get a birth certificate. I think the people that might be affected the most might be like transient homeless people. And at that, I would like to see, like I said, nonprofits and people standing in the gap that are literally there to help you. Like, hey, if you need to get documents in order to vote, like we will pay whatever you need in order to be able to get you to go to the Social Security Administration to request a birth certificate. Those things should exist and that would be beneficial. And I feel like if we pass the SAVE Act, those things will pop up naturally. But I just don't think that it's like the bulk majority of Americans that are going to be disenfranchised. I really
well,
don't.
I
And
think would
that's
you
just my opinion.
would you so I this is my belief. If one person is unable to exercise their constitutional right because of a financial barrier, poor, not poor, somebody, it doesn't matter. It could be one person, and that one person is enough. That to me is a problem. And namely because it would be considered a poll tax, which is unconstitutional, literally unconstitutional. They
I
barred
mean, it
poll
used to be in the
taxes.
Constitution. I mean, I know they changed
Yeah.
it because of what was happening in Jim Crow South,
Right, but
because
it's
the
no
poll
longer
taxes were
there.
being increased
Like,
on people. But that's, yeah, but it's not like okay, how do I put it this way? It's been removed from the Constitution, but it was something that existed. So, like, I'm not saying put poll taxes back on the Constitution, but I
that's
am
what it
also
is.
saying, like, what I'm saying is that it's something that if they want to make sure that you prove who you are before you vote in a federal election, like, I don't have any problem with that. It's like we all had to get real IDs, whether you want it to or not. And I had a damn good picture. You better believe I didn't want to change it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
But
look,
that's all I'm saying. And you had to bring multiple proofs of ID. The funny thing is that we're pushing for the real ID for all states, right? Well, you have to have multiple forms of identification in order to be able to get the real ID. So it's not a
so
stretch that, like, it's not a stretch that if you went in and got a real ID, regardless of any cost, you would be approved for your voter registration through the DMV because you produce those documents to get the real IDs. Things like that could streamline this without additional cost would be nice. But, like, I mean, I honestly don't think that you should have to pay for ID,
well,
but you do.
so here's the thing, right? Is like I would say that we definitely should have, if it the easy way around this is just to give out a federal ID. The problem with this too is that there's more to the Save Act. Like putting this aside, I think there's a pretty simple solution. If you're going to do this, give out a valid ID to everybody, whether they want it or not. I don't know how they can do it, but they're the government. They can figure it out. That'd be good
Can I
around
ask
the
you a
poll tax.
question?
Yeah, good.
If we're going to talk about the federal government giving us something, can we acknowledge that there would be people that would still be disenfranchised because they wouldn't be responsible with it? Like, the federal government gives everybody a social security card and a birth certificate, and we're having a conversation about how people were irresponsible with those things that the federal government gave us and that they're going to be disenfranchised. So if we gave them additional IDs and they were not responsible with it because they weren't responsible with their social security or their birth certificate, then they're still going to be disenfranchised.
Sure. I mean, I generally speaking, I think when it comes to voter ID, I think it's unnecessary. But if it is an olive branch, it's like, hey, if you think this is such a big thing, then here's a simple solution. But I would generally say, I think a voter ID, generally speaking, is not necessary given the data we have. And for the reason you said, I would say that it's probably a bad idea too. But I'm just saying, as a simple solution to this, to get around it, they could do that, but they're not going to. And there are other issues with the SAVE Act, by the way. And just to kind of move the ball
Yeah,
forward,
yeah.
move the
We
ball
could
forward.
talk about those other
Yeah.
issues because, like, I mean, I like that Massey didn't support certain aspects of it, and I just don't think that there's such a thing as a perfect bill until we start doing like single issue bills, which obviously would be beneficial for everybody. But I
Yeah.
do think that it is important for a huge chunk of people um, to have citizenship before registering. Um, that's the whole issue. And the you could argue fraud, you could argue anything, you could argue rules and regulations. It is what it is. But I will just say, all I'm saying is that even if we did give out a federal ID to everybody, the idea is that not everybody's mature, responsible, or accountable enough to be able to hold on to those documents. And I'm sorry, but if we were to do that, there would still be people who would not be able to vote, which is the whole point. And then we would have wasted all these time, energy, resources giving this to people when we do already give them to people. If you don't think that keeping your social and your birth certificate somewhere safe or somewhere you can find it is important, like I don't know what else to tell you, but that's just like blatant irresponsibility.
Well, like I said, I think Wes had a good point on this, and he's in our YouTube chat. Also a great friend of mine. He mentioned about the homeless encampments that basically they just come in with a bulldozer and essentially plow out these camps and just throw everything in the trash. And the next thing you know, people's documents get lost. They're difficult to do, and now they have to obtain it. They're already poor, literally the poorest of
Yeah,
the poor.
I agree. Like I
So
said, the transient homeless people are the only ones that will be affected.
yeah, well,
So
it wouldn't
that's
be the
kind of where
only
I was
ones to be
at.
affected, to be fair. But I mean, the
The
best
only the
example.
mass group, yes,
Yeah,
that's the massive group. And like I said, I'd like to see some nonprofits pop up that fill in the gap and help those people to get the documents that they need in time. The nice thing is, most states you can request birth certificate from online nowadays, so you don't have to like walk into like the magistrate's office or like the clerk's office and get it. So if they're not in the same hometown, but they're in the same state, they should be able to get it. But
yeah.
my
I want
husband
to move the
is
conversation forward a
actually,
little bit.
I was gonna say my husband's actually here, so I'm gonna go to
Okay,
bed.
all right, not a problem. All right,
I
Hortensia,
know you're
you're
family
good.
free, so enjoy.
You're good. I got somebody wanting to request up, so I'm gonna let them come up.
Perfect timing.
Appreciate it. Take care, Hortensia.
Bye.
Bye. All right, let's bring up this next guy's. By the way, guys, real quick before I bring him up, please, if you're in TikTok, hit that tap 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 button. Okay, it looks like he may have dropped. No, he's right there. Okay. Hey guys, please hit the tap 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 button. Okay. Also, if you could do me a huge favor, if you're on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell as well. We are streaming on both platforms. I just want to mention this before Spicy comes up here real quick. One thing I have an issue with the Save Act, and listen, guys, my live goals are destroyed. I cannot edit them on my computer for some stupid reason. So we might be going back to the phone next time. But keep hitting the tap, tap, tap button for me, guys. All right. So for the SAVE Act, I want to mention this. The SAVE Act would also require states purge their voter rolls. And I think that is terrifying, especially because, for example, in some states, undocumented migrants can actually vote in their state's elections. So if you purge those voter rolls, you're going to end up purging those people who are allowed to vote in those states. Same thing if you had, say, a woman who is, maybe have a different name, maiden name. Now she's going to be purged from it. But I want to give Spicy a chance to come up here real quick. Spicy, so give me 1 second as I try to open this. There you go. Let's bring him in. Spicy, can you hear me? What's going on?
Yes. How's it going?
Going good. Did you vote for Trump?
No, sir. I did not.
All right. Well, we could chat for a little bit. I don't have anybody else in the
Yeah,
queue.
I'm actually America's #1 hated enemy.
Okay. Why is that?
Because I didn't vote for the Democrat either.
Oh, you're a non-voter, are you?
No, sir.
Oh,
I voted.
Who'd you vote for?
Well, as a leftist, I voted for the Green Party.
Okay. What made you do that?
Because, well, just to make sure Democrats hate me. Same reason why you all voted for Trump.
Same reason.
That was a joke.
Okay.
No, I was kidding. I was kidding. The reason why I voted for Jill Stein was because she was the only one that actually offered universal health care, universal child care, an end to foreign wars. Um,
That sounds like Kamala Harris.
she Kamala Harris did not run any of those things.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that Kamala Harris would have started a foreign war?
Yes,
Where?
anywhere she could. I mean, like the same way that Donald Trump would, like whether it would be Iran, Iraq.
You
No,
think
not
she
Iraq, but
what gives you the idea that she would have started a war with Iran?
well, I mean, she's not as blusterous as Donald Trump, but the reason why I would think that is because, I mean, our number one favorite ally in the Middle East, who Kamala Harris refused to, reject a arms embargo towards, has bombed 7 countries in the last year alone. So, yeah, I think we would be drawn into a war by one of U.S.'s largest allies, quote
Would you
unquote
not say,
allies.
well, let me ask you this. Would you say that, because I don't believe, based on anything that I have seen, any suggestions, by just simply saying that Israel's our biggest ally, thus we would have gotten involved, because guess what? Israel, and I don't want to make this, because I'm, first of all, I'm not real strong on the whole that region, and it's a very sensitive topic specifically for TikTok, so we'll probably move off of it really quickly here shortly. But
Hmm.
I think, and I'm saying it not because I want to, more so because of TikTok, and I'm saying that someone who's been on TikTok for a while.
I didn't name names for a reason.
I know. So I think that based on what I've seen, it's loose to sit there and say that Kamala Harris had this connection with Israel, and thus we would somehow end up going to, war with this particular country. I just don't see it.
I'm
What
not.
was
I'm
it?
not saying it's a connection. I'm saying that. I'm saying that there seems to be a certain, I don't know, unspoken agreement between the two corporate-owned political parties that govern the United States. And in my opinion, I think that politics in the United States should be governed by the American working class versus the American corporate class. And this is not a class war. I mean, I'm sorry, this is not a war against the Democrats or the Republicans. This is a war of the American working class versus the American billionaires. And the more that we accept this, the stronger we become.
Well, see, I think, and that's where it's kind of like, do you feel that by voting for Jill Stein, that and I'm sure you've been, like you said, I'm sure you're aware of it. Do you feel that you helped Trump get elected in a way? I mean, that's a big glaring
No.
question, right? It feels like the elephant in the room sometimes.
Well, even math tells me I'm right. So even if you were to account every single Jill Stein vote across every single electorate, Jill Stein was not the factor that determined this election. The number one factor actually was that the Democratic base refused to appeal to their base. They refused to actually like reach out and say, hey, we're gonna be for an arms embargo or whatever. There were millions of people that voted for Biden in 2020 that did not show up to the polls in 2024 to vote for Kamala Harris, and it had nothing to do with the fact that she was like a woman or black or there's not sexism. It was literally that people stayed home. They stayed home.
Well,
Give us a reason.
so I would agree with you. Most of the Democratic Party is pretty, of course you would say he's right, Wes. All right. Listen, I know
I'm not.
who
I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just saying
no,
like
no, 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 no,
Kamala
no, no.
Harris. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So, what I'm saying is, I'm speaking to my buddy Wes in the chat and YouTube. What it is he's a don't mark me if I'm wrong on this, Wes, and forgive me if I'm saying that you are spicy, but I would assume based on what you have told me, you're probably along the lines of either a socialist, Marxist, or communist, somewhere in those three categories, correct? One of those three. You probably fall more in line with that.
Yeah, sure, fine.
It doesn't have to be an
Sure.
identification. I'm not. I promise you, I'm not trying to like. I promise you, I'm not trying to call you out
Sure.
in any way.
I'm
But
a Marxist, Leninist, communist,
there you
whatever.
go.
Yeah, I love China.
There you go. But I think Wes is what me and Wes used to go back and forth all the time and have issues because, spoiler alert, prior to 2022, 21, I was a conservative. So no surprise there. That's why I'm a liberal. I'm not progressive, although I'll tell you, based on what Trump has done, I'm getting a little more and more comfortable going further left. I'll say that. I just think to go back to
Fair
the Kamala
enough.
Harris, I think to go back to the Kamala Harris thing, man, I just think that us dealing with, like, I don't like to blame the people who voted like you, but I am concerned. I don't. What I'm having this conversation with you is the same conversation I see with like Tallarico, for example, and Jasmine Crockett. And what I mean by that
Oh
is,
yeah.
like, it's very similar, and it drives me up a wall because it's like, why is it when we have an actual good chance at doing something, somebody always does the, well, I didn't get my way, I'm taking it home. It's like, look, for example, with Texas, we have an opportunity to turn Texas blue. But instead of us sitting here and rallying behind both candidates, you can rally, you can do both. Instead of doing that, we're sitting here going, well, no, because Tallarico's too moderate. He's a Republican. And it's like, I would tend to agree with you, right? But you're talking about Texas. Understand the geography we're talking about here, okay? The political geography. This isn't, California. As much as I would love Jasmine Crockett to be in that position, I don't know.
No,
I don't think she's going to
bro.
be able to do it in Texas. I'm being very honest.
No, she won't. She won't. And the only reason why the Jasmine Crockett is a star in the Democratic Party is because the Democratic Party is not able to offer you any real economic alternative to what the Republicans do right now. So they have to grandstand on, like, race, basically. Like they act like, oh, Jasmine Crockett, she's a strong black woman. Jasmine Crockett doesn't even take money from certain groups that I won't mention.
Mhm.
However, every single time she shows up on the floor of Congress, she seems to vote for those groups. Takes zero money from them. She's sold out for free. It's almost like she's protecting her future career. Now, James Talrico, on the other hand, he's a nice guy. He sounds like a nice guy. He's kind of like nerdy. I appreciate that about him. I've listened to a lot of interviews that he's done. That whole Jubilee interview that he did, that was like a whole setup, dude. That was like I mean, didn't you watch that? It was like, why did he even go there? It wasn't like an interview versus like a leftist. It was like, here's a guy running for office. Do you want to talk to him? And they
Yeah.
put like Trump supporters in front of his face, and he was able to like reduce them to the children that they are. So I just thought, I don't know, like, as far as like that goes, like, I don't care about Texas politics because neither of those people are actually going to win, because the people of Texas, again, do not seem to get that this is not an ideology against like Democrats and Republicans. This is a working class versus the corporate owned billionaires. And they all seem to think that, like, well, they're the job creators. They're not. They are our enemies. We need to treat them as such. I mean, we are, I don't know, 3 years away from, guillotines. in the town square, sir.
Let's
In
not
my
talk.
opinion.
Let's not talk about that on TikTok. But I mean, look, I think here's the thing, right? Is I, I feel like from talking with you a little bit, you kind of give me like single issue or maybe two issue voter vibes, right? And I will say that, when it came to Kamala Harris, I do feel that she appealed very heavily to the moderate position. If there's any critique I would give her, is that she did not appeal to the left as much as she should have. I don't think that means because she didn't give us exactly what we wanted, we shouldn't vote for her. I think the same thing plays out when we're going into the midterms. The same thing goes into 2028. Is that I think that I agree with you that us settling for them is. I think this is something that we lose sight of, is that we sit there and go, well, I'm not getting my ideal candidate. I'm going to just not vote for her. But then because we don't vote for that particular candidate that's been put in front of us, we then get somebody like a Donald Trump. And that's kind of my concern is, when you talk about, say, Iran, and I know you're saying, well, look at Jill Stein votes, and I would agree with you, but there's other people who just simply did not vote, right? And I think that that's kind of my concern here is there's always an opposite, and the opposite that we deal with is far worse than the moderate Democrat we may get. And, we talk about progress and moving things forward. Listen, was Kamala Harris sitting here saying that she was going to, tax billionaires up to the umpteenth degree? No. But was it a step forward? Certainly better than where we're at with Trump. I said this before all the time with people. I said, listen, there's not every time do we get a particular president that I can sit here and go, well, yeah, for example, because they inherit a lot of the stuff. So sometimes the economy is kind of a mixed economy between the predecessor and the current president. But with Trump, I'm like, this is easy. Like, there's no way you could sit here and tell me that Kamala Harris would have imposed tariffs. There's no way you could sit here and look me in the eye and say that Kamala Harris would have sent ICE goons to different states. There's no way you can tell me that Kamala Harris would have been talking about taking over Greenland yeah, like none of this stuff I believe would have ever happened under Kamala Harris. And this is why I don't want to blame nobody, but at the same time, like, guys, this is what happens with elections if you sit at home. Like, the consequences of the opposite voter is just as bad,
Here, can I make the counter argument?
Of course.
Here's my argument. Even if you added up all the Jill Stein votes, Kamala still would have lost. That's the reality. She would have. In every single state. Donald Trump won every single swing state in the United States. And it had nothing to do with people that voted for Jill Stein. It had everything to do with the Democratic Party losing their base because they did not actually have a primary. They told everybody, shut the fuck up, vote for Joe Biden. Oh, Joe Biden's mentally defective. Shut up, vote for Kamala Harris. That's what happened. And then Donald Trump won anyway. So if anybody is mad about the result of the 2024 election, they should not be blaming Jill Stein or the Green Party. They should be blaming the DNC. The Democratic National Committee decided that it was in their best interest to run a 81-year-old man who stumbled around for years and years and years, and they all told us he was fine. He was not. And the American voters saw that, and they decided, we're not going to vote for that. We're not stupid. We're not going to do that. And now, the reality is, Donald Trump won, and anybody who voted for somebody who was not Joe Biden is being lectured by the Democratic Party, even though if you didn't vote for that person, we all know that the math just ain't mathing for them. It's not. So let me propose this to you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe As somebody who voted for Democrats my entire life, I have never voted for a single Republican my entire life. As a proud Pennsylvanian, I have never, go Eagles, voted for a single Republican my entire life. I think the Democratic Party should have a real primary where they do not, the DNC doesn't interfere with the election cycle, just like they did in 2024, or no, it was 2020, where they all like forced all the centrists to drop out and they voted for Joe Biden. You can't tell me that wasn't sketch. That was
I,
sketchy.
I hadn't looked into the 2020 stuff. I mean, in 2020, to be fair, I ended up, unfortunately, it's been like a blessing and a curse in a way, because a lot of times the righties be like, oh, but you voted for Joe Biden. I'm like, unfortunately, but fortunately, I voted for Trump. I say fortunately only in the sense that I'm able to use it against them when they use that argument. So I wasn't too keen on the DNC processes in 2020, unfortunately.
Man, can I suggest? I gotta suggest something to you. You have to look at how Bernie Sanders was not elected at the DNC in like 2016. He won every single county in West Virginia, but the electorates actually gave the vote to Hillary Clinton in 2016 at the Democratic National Convention. That was a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Anyway, that was the whole
yeah,
thing. But what I'm saying is, what I want to say is that as somebody who is a actual leftist, if you guys want universal health care, universal child care, everything else, I do not think the Democratic Party is the way to do it.
I mean,
I think we need a real third party movement. And the reason why I say that is because there's only one third party in the United States that has ballot access in 44 states, and that is the Green Party.
my only concern about that is it's going to do more harm than good, at least in our current atmosphere. You know,
For
I
how
mean,
long? For how long?
that's a great
How long?
question. That's a great question. I get the frustration, believe me, and a majority of the Democratic Party is in the same bucket as you with the frustration. But I try to tell people this all the time as well. Let's not let that fear cloud our judgment. I know right now Wes is like freaking out on me. And he's a good friend of mine in the YouTube chat. He's over here freaking out. But I mean, look, the thing is like I get that complacency has been our biggest downfall. I guess what we need to do is we need to, you know, try to hold our own accountable. For example, if we have I don't know, I know Gavin Newsom's kind of. I do agree. We need to stop appealing to the moderates. I think, like for example, a Jasmine Crockett running in the election in 28 would be great for the base. It would energize the base. We need somebody. Maybe we're not going to be able to get in and say a socialist. Maybe you get a progressive or someone who's a little bit more left than liberal, right?
But none of these people are actual socialists.
Right,
I think that's my
correct,
point. Is
correct.
that like
No, correct.
they fantasize about being socialists, but they're not.
Well, and
They're
I think
not.
what you
Because at the end of the day,
would your ideal candidate be a socialist though? Because I think that's kind of the problem we have in the Democratic Party right now is we have, I would say, probably three camps really, right? We have the liberals, progressives, and I would say socialists. There's a little less communist, but each one of those is very staunch in their beliefs and they have a candidate who they want. And if they don't get that, they get upset. And that's where really it's like you can peel.
No.
Well, I would say if we had, if we had a candidate who was, say, more progressive in their viewpoints, then you would upset some of maybe the liberals. And so the liberals don't turn out. But then if you get a liberal in there, then the progressives and the socialists get a little bit upset about it.
My largest problem with that argument is that it's always up to the progressives to make the argument to appeal to the moderate liberals instead of like the ultra conservatives having to appeal to their base to agree with their radical ideal. So like if we were at a negotiating table, I would say the most radical leftist that is available on that ticket for the Democrats is probably the smartest one to choose from, because we're now negotiating with these radical people that don't think that women deserve the right to have an abortion. And like, so you're, as a leftist, we should be going to be like, just, yeah, we should have abortions for lunch or whatever. Like whatever our furthest left radical idea should be, whatever candidate does that, that's the candidate we're voting for, because that's the negotiating table that we're working on. Because these people are so far to the right that they don't even want to vaccinate their kids anymore. I mean, like, and
No, I get it.
which removes the seatbelt from the modern society. It's like you can choose whether you're going to put a seatbelt on your kid, but you can't
Right.
choose whether
Be
you're
very
going to
careful on
vaccinate
that.
or not.
Yeah, you have to be very careful on that word. But I'll say this: like, I mean, I, I I agree. And I said that Kamala Harris's biggest policy problem was that she was appealing to moderates, not moderate Democrats, just moderates in general. And if you look at the trend between 2020 and 2024, she didn't get much moderates at all. It was like the same, if not less. And so I think that one thing she needs to do is to start appealing more to, or having a candidate who will appeal more to progressives. I think there can be a hybrid candidate. I think Wes said that progressive policies are extremely popular, and I would agree with you, especially now that Trump is taking away people's health care. That conversation is going to get brought up by the next presidential candidate, and I think they need to do that. And what I mean, not everything has to be all or the other, right? We can have a Democratic candidate who dips their toe into, say, some more popular progressive policies, but also maybe some, more popular liberal. There's a way to do this, whether it's minimum wage hikes, whether it's Medicare for all or whatever it may be, right? Things like that, or an iteration of that. It's sometimes we kind of oversimplify a lot of these things, and understandably so, because we're talking about a ghost candidate that we don't know in 2028. But I would agree with you. I mean, I think there's a way to do that. I just don't think we have a history of it. And that's something that I don't want to see more of. We need more unity on the left. Whether it's liberals appealing to progressives or progressives appealing to liberals, what happens. If the alternative is, let's just hypothetically say, let's say we had a Gavin Newsom versus a J.D. Vance. I don't know about you. I'm voting Gavin Newsom every day of the week there. Even though I may have
I'm
wanted.
not doing that.
That right there, though, is it that not? Do you agree? Like,
But I mean, again, the most successful third party in U.S. history was the Whig Party, that actually forced the northern white liberals to join them in opposing slavery, and they became the Republican Party. And the Republican Party, under Abraham Lincoln, abolished slavery, and Republicans continue to take credit for it for this day. Even though we all know Republicans of modern day are certainly not the same Republicans that were against slavery back in 18 whatever.
Yeah.
My point comes down to that if we, as Democratic Party voters, the moment that you continue to vote for lesser of two evils, you will continue to be disrespected by that party. They have no reason to listen to you. If you're going to vote for them, no matter what they do, no matter what foreign policy positions or otherwise, they have no reason to listen to you. If you do not refuse to withhold your vote and vote for a third party or otherwise, then why should they ever listen to you?
So
Why should they?
Yeah, I think the way that we would solve that is obviously the primaries. Whoever, that's
I
the
agree.
opportunity, and so I think that if there is any issues within that primary process, fix them. But I think that we have to, if what happens, if we have a fair and free primary, okay, however that is determined, and the outcome is a JD. Let me ask you this. Let's ask this in a better situation. Let's say we have that ideal primary that you want, right? and it's free, fair, and everything. It's exactly as you want it. And let's say the outcome of that were a Gavin Newsom. Okay. Would you? Okay. See, that's what.
But okay.
You get what I'm saying, though. It's
you.
like I think like the problem we have to look at here
but is it though? Like, can I offer this before you finish that?
Good.
Do you think that the idea that Bernie Sanders already won all these other primaries in 2020, and then Barack Obama made a phone call? This isn't like a conspiracy there. We all know this. Barack Obama made a phone call that forced every single other moderate, quote unquote, moderate candidate out of the race. And they all fell behind and endorsed Joe Biden. And they all tried to pretend that South Carolina primaries were like the end all be all for the United States. Because they voted for Joe Biden because one of the number one recipients from healthcare companies, aka, oh my God, what is his name? I forget his name. Oh, but I know exactly who I'm talking about. He was a civil rights leader. Oh my God, what is his name?
Jesse Jackson?
No, not just. God damn, man. If Jesse Jackson was running today, I would vote for him so hard. Oh my God, who was the man, I can't remember his name, but either way, it's like, unfortunately, a lot of African Americans vote based on the way that their formal, leaders tell them to, in much the same way that all the old white people who watch MSNBC vote the same way that they're told. They're like, this is the smart vote. You can't vote what you feel. You can't vote what you want. You have to vote for this guy. So Super Tuesday got turned into a just ridiculous when you look at what happened to Bernie. And that's fine. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the American people just didn't want universal health care, universal child care, or anything else. Maybe they weren't told what to vote for. But you can't discredit the idea that there was a major corporation, multiple corporations, attempting to dispel, like, voting for Bernie. Yeah. And it actually happened on Super Tuesday. It did.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah. So first of all, real quick, guys in chat, I have lost my chat because I cannot find it now. And it is driving me up a freaking wall. So I'm trying to get my chat back. Oh, there it is. It's over here. Okay, I'm blind. I see it. Guys, real quick, I want to make this time to announce it. Hey, guys, as you're coming in here, please hit that tap, tap, tap. We're at 6,700 taps, and it has not moved hardly at all. YouTube, same thing. I've now lost you as well. There you are. If you're on YouTube, please make sure you guys are hitting that like, subscribe, notification bell. We go live every Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you're new to the stream, welcome in. I appreciate you guys coming in. If you are on TikTok, I apologize if it's static. Spicy, has my camera been real staticky at all, by the way? Like where it's kind of like laggy a little bit?
No, man, you look good.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. But I guess I'm sitting here, I'm using my phone, and the damn thing, I like on my live studio, it like lags. Anyways, all right. But yeah, no, I think that, look, man, I think when it comes down to it,
Vince, I don't want to be mean, but I gotta tell you, is your dad bald?
Listen,
I'm not trying to be mean, brother.
Listen, man, listen. My dad's not bald. I just have Listen, I'm gonna do a little TMI here, okay? But that's fine because I don't mind. There's two things that we're known for: is our big ass foreheads and our big ass cracks. Okay, those two are really hard. Sometimes you have to pull the pants up high waters, man.
Prove it. Prove it.
We're not doing that.
Prove it. Prove it. Prove it.
Right? Nah, man. Look, well, trust me. If I get up real quick, you might see it.
I only brought it up because my wife brings it up to me all the time. I didn't mean to be, I didn't mean to be hateful. She looks at my hair and she goes, "Are you going bald?" And I'm like, "Shut up, shut up,
Dude,
shut up. Don't tell me."
it is a big forehead, but it is receding, but it's not. It looks receding. I have a, I forgot what it's called. It goes like my hairline goes up
You have a
and
widow's
around.
peak.
Widow's peak, yeah. So
It's called a widow's peak.
yeah, it sucks.
Look, don't tell me about hairlines, bro. I've made it all up too. I have a widow's peak. I have all these peaks. I got the whatever it is. Don't tell me. Don't tell me, lady. My hair is fine. Don't worry
Dude,
about it. I still work out every day.
I have a double calic right here, and so when I was growing up,
That's right.
I
Oh
had
man, what a great excuse. I have a cowlick.
dude,
I have a cowlick everywhere, all over my head. Don't worry,
dude,
wife.
like it was one of those things where remember alfalfa where the thing just goes ding. It looked just
Yes.
like that. It was bad, dude.
Yep, that's it. Oh my
Yep.
God, man, you're giving me gold. You're getting gold right now. I can't wait to go back up there and be like, no, it's fine, it's fine.
It's
fine,
what's
it's
even
fine.
more rude is sometimes I get the okay, Robert, I appreciate you coming in, man. Hey, I've been seeing you in the chat. I really appreciate it. Wes, I've seen you in there as well. I'm honestly probably gonna wrap it up here pretty soon. We're gonna go live tomorrow. I think I said 2 or 3 or 1, something about that, 1:30. Just so people are unaware, I stream from my garage. You'll notice if you're on TikTok, you'll see it. That right there is a fuse box. So I've got 2 lights in front of me, and right now it's 72 degrees in the garage. But during the afternoon, it gets up to like,
God damn.
dude, yeah. I don't have a window. Okay, so
Well, it's 60 degrees in my basement right now.
no, man, that's because you're in a basement. That's the only reason
wonderful.
it's cool. But
Shirts off. Take your shirt off.
Hey,
Shirts off.
listen.
Let me see your shoulders.
Nah, listen, this ain't a
Do you even
workout stream, and
lift, bro?
TikTok doesn't allow for it yet.
This ain't a workout stream.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, Sausage, I'm gonna let you come in, but it was a great conversation, man. Great conversation. It was only supposed to be for a few minutes, but nobody else is coming in, and I think we had a really good little bit of a debate. So I appreciate you coming in, man. All right, later. But anyways, guys, yeah, man, it was a pleasure speaking with all you guys. I saw Hortensia, Sister Sue, man, y'all were gifting. I appreciate it. I don't know what's going on. I'm definitely going to end up using my phone from now on. I just wanted to do live studio because it was easier to do that and the gift goal, and I could use my phone as a camera with the front facing or use the rear facing instead of the front facing. It's just more annoying, and there's so many bugs with this studio thing. But I think we did pretty good, guys. YouTube, you guys did pretty good. Shut up pretty well. We're gonna have to figure out a new format. The debates were pretty interesting. I gotta get better at it. But all right, guys. On that note, I'm gonna dip out. I'm gonna find some stories and we'll do all that. But you guys have a great night, and I really appreciate you guys. So take care, y'all.